Hey, Pepin.
Yo, yo.
You know, when I was a kid, I feel like I was a lot looser. Like I could, you know what I mean?
Kind of. It's like, I used to climb trees, and now I see trees, and I think, fuck that.
Exactly. Like, I used to climb to the tippy top of big, tall trees, and now I'm afraid. Like, what if I fall? I won't bounce.
Dude, you could, like, almost die.
I know. I feel like there's a lot of times in my life where I should have died.
Really?
Absolutely.
Holy shit, man. We need to talk.
Welcome back. So glad you guys could join us. I'm joined once again by Nathan Pepin. How are you, Nate?
Doing good, doing good.
Glad you're here, actually. You know, we also have a special guest. His name is Matt Drew.
When he said special, it wasn't the kind of special you thought he was saying.
It was the special kind of special.
Yeah. Just wanted to clear that up. I could tell listeners were probably assuming that I was something special.
Exactly.
Also, of course I'm here. This is my room.
That's a really good point.
I'm sitting on Nate's bed right now, guys.
It's not the first time.
And it's not the last.
Yeah, but I mean, when I invited you onto the show, I thought you'd come in clothes.
Yeah, I actually kind of confused. I was confused by that text, Steve. I felt like it was suggesting that I not wear clothes, but you didn't specifically say anything. I don't know. It was, texting these days. You know,
when we started the nude cast, I knew the hardest part would be getting guests. But Matt Drew takes it to a new level.
I always assume every podcast that I'm going on is a nude cast. I let them tell me otherwise, all right? I'm just going naked. That's rule number one.
I don't mind.
I gotta say, your voice sounds naked. But the time that I feel like I was the most naked, the most often, was when I was a little kid.
Wait, like when?
Like when I was a little kid and I'd go to Christmas and I'd take off all my clothes and open presents. Or I'd take off all my clothes except for my boots and I'd eat scrambled eggs while playing video games.
Okay, I could see that. But, some people like to describe like the fear or sensation of imminent death as feeling naked. It brings you back to your primal roots of being in your womb or as a baby or I don't know, some shit like that.
Yeah.
And Matt, have you had any like instances of like, oh shit, I almost died?
Yeah, I mean, not in that exact phrasing, but I've definitely felt that. I've felt that. In fact, me and Steve actually share a story. This is gonna be the first episode of We Need to Talk, where two of the people are going to tell the same story together, and it's a actual honest to God shared experience that was literally shared. It's the time that me and Steve fell out of
a moving vehicle.
A truck.
A big,
hairy,
sexy
truck.
We were at the park. With our friends. We were hanging out. And
playing some ball.
Playing some good ball.
Yeah. I was mostly watching. I remember. I don't think you guys let me play.
No. We were bouncing the good ball.
I had to run and get the ball when it would get lost. That was my role in the whole time. I was waiting to play the whole time. I wanted to play, but they just really wanted me there to go run after the ball.
I'd do a cool little dribble through my legs, spin the good ball on my finger, take a shot towards a sport hole, and try and get it in.
And I'd watch from the sidelines.
Wow, yeah, so it sounds like a pretty essential role you played there.
Was that condescending? Were you being sarcastic right there?
No, I mean it's like if you are a caddy, for golf, that's an extremely central role. If you don't have a caddy, you're kind of fucked.
I feel like he's being sarcastic.
You know who's really caddies? Women.
Oh, Steve!
Oh, that's a play on.
Steve, you thought that would go right past me, man.
Yeah. People are like, you shouldn't play with your words. You should just eat them.
So we loaded that truck up, and we
had so many men. filled the truck with men and lads.
So we throw the old wiffle ball bat and the wiffle ball into the truck, and then
Truck full of lads.
and the two other guys, they were getting in the front of the truck, and we said to them, "Hey, man, we're not going to all ride in the front of the truck.
That's a small cab.
How about me and Steve ride in the bed?"
Right in the flatbed.
And then they're like, "Okay, you can ride in the bed."
Just
and,
keep the tailgate down.
yeah, we wanted to keep the tailgate down and just sit on the edge of the tailgate and dangle our legs and have some talks and talk to each other, have some heart-to-hearts.
Talk about life.
There.
Talk about having Chinese food. We were going to drive. So my house was probably 500 yards from the actual sporting place that we were at. So it was not a far drive. It was very short. There was one stop sign.
So we thought we could just sit there. He'd drive slowly back to the place, and we'd have a real quick heart-to-heart, real mini heart-to-heart. Call them mini hearts. And, we do one of those, a couple of those maybe, and then we get to the place and we, eat Chinese food, be happy people, But little did we know, the man behind the driving wheel had other thoughts.
The man behind the driving wheel pulled up to the stop sign, the one and only stop sign, and he had a real jokester in the passenger side playing joke tricks.
By the way, these two were also druggies. Me and Steve were too, but also these two were druggies.
At least 3 of the 4 were druggies.
Exactly.
And we were sitting in the tailgate, we were at the stop sign, and he thought it would be a clever, fun time to put his foot on the gas pedal very far down.
Very far down.
The truck accelerated very quickly. We attempted to hold on to the cable that holds the flatbed onto the frame of the truck.
This is about the time in the story where, from my perspective, things look very crazy. Because what I see is, all of a sudden, everything feels really weird, and it feels like things are happening faster. And I then see Steve jump off of the truck and roll. And the whole time I'm thinking, why did Steve just do that?
The truck was starting to go very, very fast.
Very fast.
There was a lot of wind coursing through my mane of hair. I didn't have a beard, but it would be flowing through that as well.
It's like my mind couldn't understand what was happening.
I was scared.
And I realized I had an enemy in the driver's seat. And then it all clicked for me. So at that moment, I wasn't on the truck anymore, though. At that moment, that was the thought I was having when I was upside down midair.
So the force of the acceleration combined, the continued acceleration, it's not like he just he pressed the gas real fast and we lurched forward. No, he started to take off, and he was taking a corner at the same time. So there was centripetal force at the same time.
So it caused my butt to go straight up in the air. Well, the other way, my crotch to go straight up in the air. My under part of my body went flying up. There was
his under became an upper.
My under became my upper. So my head was upside down and flying towards the pavement. And I just remember thinking to myself, this is what God sex must feel like.
What would Jesus do?
Exactly. What would Jesus do? And that's when my head hit the pavement, and everyone heard it apparently, because the whole neighborhood just came coming out of their doors, and they all were it was and there's been a UFO sighting, and everyone just kind of comes out of their doors and oh no, we're all fucked.
The truck had peeled out, so it was right in front of this big fancy house, and I saw that this was going to be very dangerful, so I jumped. I was somewhat ripped out of the truck, but I also just kind of let myself go. I tucked and rolled, and landed on mostly my wrist. But I was able to roll and take that horizontal downward momentum and turn it into some longevital momentum and just kind of do a little roll. Mm-hmm. And it hurt, but it wasn't a big deal. And I popped back up onto my feet and looked over in the direction of Matthew Drew, and I saw him in the air come down on his head, heard a loud crack, and then saw him bounce back into the air several inches, and then land again flat on his back in the middle of the road. Somebody came running out of the house across the street, and it's I saw the whole thing. I ran over to Matt, saw he was bleeding from the skull, whipped over, turned to the lady who was running out of her house, and I said, "This guy's hurt. call an ambulance. And it was the greatest moment of my life to be able to say that. Then I walked home, got my mom. I'm like, Mom, we're injured. Matthew is bleeding from the skull. And she said, well, you should go back and check on him.
You know, everyone in this room right now is all thinking the same thing. That explains a lot.
Did she call an ambulance?
So, yes, an ambulance came. I walked back over when the ambulance was there, and they didn't even know I was hurt. They didn't even look at me because they didn't know I was a part of this. But they were looking at Matt, and they're like, you're going to need to come with us in the ambulance. You're bleeding from the skull area.
Yeah, and I did not want to go, if you remember that, Steve.
I remember, but you did.
I did not want to go. I said, yeah, I can just, walk it off.
So it wasn't like you're just, like, got hit really hard and you're kind of, like, a bit, not crazed, but a bit daisy.
Delirious.
You're just kind of thinking, no, whatever, fuck it. I can deal with it.
My skull was literally cracked.
Mm-hmm.
I did not feel like I needed to go with those people.
Were you thinking, like, in your own head, were you thinking clear, or is it...
Here's the thing is, and by the way, we didn't even address this. The two culprits were watching and crying, and one of them, the driver, was puking.
Was he?
Yeah, I saw him puking.
I don't even remember that. I was with my mom.
He was crying and puking on the sidewalk. And he kept saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He comes out there, and, like, for me, my perspective is, I just found out this guy who I thought, like, was my friend, like a really cool guy, was my mortal enemy. And now these ambulance people are standing in front of me trying to get me to go with them.
And you did. You went with them?
No, but I was hesitant because I was like, my own friends are enemies. What about these strangers? They want me to go with them? Yeah, so I had quite the psychological battle with those people.
We picked you up at the hospital. You got stitches? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Brain stitches?
No. Not actual stitches. No, it's weird because then I went to the hospital and they glued my head shut.
Yeah.
They said, here, so your insurance does not cover x-rays or anything like that because I had apparently shit insurance. So they were like, we're just going to glue your head shut and send you on your way, bro. And then they were like, peace out. And they were smoking doobies and laughing and playing Bob Marley. It was real weird, guys.
They paged Dr. Elmer. He came on down with a glue stick.
He said, I'm the professor of fun. And then he glued my head together.
He rolled that glue stick into your scalp.
He said, I'm the bassist in Fun Hole. That's on my weekends. I'm a doctor right now. This is my day job.
So we picked you up, and we went back to my house and got really fucking high.
Yeah.
Really high.
That was better than the painkillers they gave me.
And Matt was on painkillers and was fucking baked. And then we went to a Chinese buffet.
Oh, God.
And I was standing up there with the plate next to my sister, and I was staring. My face was touching the sneeze guard, and my sister's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm way too fucking high for this right now.
Hey, let me just remind everyone, Steve has an injury that nobody is even addressing because mine was more substantial.
My head did hit the ground. I probably had a minor concussion.
Steve needed medical attention and nobody even cared.
Listen, Dr. Marijuana helped quite a bit.
Everyone was like, oh, by the way, that's another human being who just fell out of a moving vehicle.
General Sal was a great confidant in that time. I went to sit back down at the table, and I set down my plate, and I went to, like, lower my body into the chair, and rather than, like, sitting down like a normal person, put all of my weight on the table, and the entire thing almost flipped completely over because I was so baked, and my sister slammed her hand on the table and held it down. Otherwise, everybody's food would have gone flying into the air. I would have fallen flat on my ass again.
I've almost done that so many times. It's terrible.
That was one of the times I could have died, but Matt was closer to dying.
Yeah, you know what? Me and Steve, that was a real great moment for our friendship. And then the aftermath of all of that, though, was, the two culprits, they went on, and they...
Was that the graduation party?
What?
No. You spent the night that night, right? And I think some other people did too. I think there was like a bunch of people spent the night, and we couldn't let you go to sleep.
No, yeah, you kept telling me, don't
We
lay
were
down,
worried
don't
you
lay
had a
down.
concussion
And then
and
you're
were
like, you have
gonna
to
die.
sit up all night. And I was like, I don't want to sit up. Fuck that noise.
And then we eventually let you go to sleep.
And then you were like, I think Matt Drew's gonna die in the middle of the night. And everyone's like, well, it's not too bad. Yeah, the
We
guy's
got a
kinda-
blood stain on the sidewalk to remember him by. It's
Hey
okay.
man, we'll just memorialize that shit.
We'll get fun hole to play at his funeral.
Dude, Fun Hole will do most gigs for like $35.
$35 in a doobie. How about you, Nate? Have you ever had an experience where you could have died?
Yeah. I was at Bible camp,
Oh,
and this was my first year at Bible camp. And anyway, it wasn't too fun. It was pretty bad, but there was this cute girl. I mean, she's kind of cute, but she was all into me and stuff, and she was my friend there, so we hung out a bit. And then
what was her name? First and last name and social.
I don't know.
No, okay.
She went
Did you
to
know at the time?
Wait, was that 13?
no, but she was there. 13 was there.
Okay.
That's another story. Oh shit! But
Not Olivia Wilde.
so there was this big dinner, this spaghetti dinner, and I went there, with the group and the girl, and I ate a bunch of spaghetti. It was pretty good, but at the end of the night, I started feeling kind of like, and the girl was trying to talk to me more and more. I'm just kind of like, I'm just gonna go over here, and it kind of felt bad. I'm like, I don't really feel that great.
I'm gonna go get more spaghetti.
We go back to our cabins, and it's like everyone sleeps pretty well. Like, I was the one person who had kind of insomnia, but I got to sleep because I just felt like shit. And about like half an hour later, I wake up and it's like my stomach's just reeling in pain. It's just terrible. And then I have to go throw up, so I go and throw up, and everyone's just sleeping for what I know. And I throw up, and it's really bad. It's like really kind of painful. And I'm like, okay.
Throwing up spaghetti sucks.
It really does. It's super acidic, and
It can be stringy.
it tastes like spaghetti, but it like worse spaghetti.
Yeah, it tastes like gross spaghetti. Like ziti or something.
So you're saying it doesn't taste great when it comes back as puke?
Yeah,
Surprisingly,
Yeah,
no.
I thought that it'd be able to come out just as good as regular spaghetti. It'd be like, oh, sweet!
I feel like
more
the
spaghetti.
I feel like the worst part is if like the strings get stuck in your throat, and then it's your gag reflex, so you puke more, and then like nonstop because you have all these spaghetti strings stuck in your throat.
So I puked a lot, and I thought it was all done. And so I kind of went back, but it's like moving was just kind of like super, super painful. It's like, ugh, like any little like movement I made. So I'm like, okay. And then I had to throw up some more. So I threw up some more, and it's like, shit, this is bad. Okay, I guess the spaghetti made me sick. It's too acidic or something. I don't know.
Where was the Bible counselor?
Sleeping somewhere. We went to bed at like 9 o'clock, maybe 8 or 9, and so this is around like 10 o'clock, 10:30, maybe 11. So I'm just like writhing in pain, and then I have to puke some more, and so I do it again, and like the sensation is pretty much like imagine like needles like all in your stomach, and every time you move, like 1,000 needles are just moving in your stomach, and you can poke everywhere.
Was this needles and meatball, not
Yeah.
spaghetti?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Bible food.
And I spent the whole night essentially writhing in pain, like, and throwing up, and writhing in pain and throwing up, and it got worse and worse and worse. It didn't get better. I tried to sleep. There's no sleeping through that kind of pain, and I don't know why. Like, I'm the kind of person who doesn't like bothering people. I mean, back then more. Nowadays, I'm more assertive. I care.
I bother everyone now. I'm just
Yeah.
like, what up, people? I don't give a fuck. I'm drinking out of the milk carton. Peace out.
I'm definitely a lot more narcissistic, I'd say, in a good way. Back then.
I'm like full of myself in a good way.
Well, for me, it's narcissistic because the old me was, I waited about 10 hours, like, maybe not 10 hours, maybe 8 to 10 hours, just writhing in pain, like, and didn't tell anybody. Just kind of, And eventually 6 o'clock rolled around, and, it was getting kind of bright out, so I'm like, okay, the Pastor A is going to be up. Maybe he'll be able to, like, figure something out. So, I get up and I walk there myself, and it was like the worst walk I've ever had. These giant hills and stuff, and I talked to a few people, and like, oh, well, let's get the nurse. I think she might be up. And there was a resident nurse who was like a part of the youth group or something. I don't know. But she's like, oh, yeah, you're sick? Oh, yeah, what's been happening? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know what's wrong. You sound sick. I'm like,
wait. She said it's been happening?
No, what's been happening?
Oh, what's been happening? Okay.
Okay.
And she's like, we just keep making children sick. That's just normal.
She's like, that's a thing I've noticed in humans. They get sick. Keeps happening.
It just keeps happening.
Couple thousand years
Probably
now.
because we don't really cook the meat before we put it in the meatballs. I don't know. Janie keeps saying that's like French or something.
The French version of sushi.
Just raw beef. Just raw beef, man. It's whatever. Our digestive system will catch up.
Gotta evolve.
Just gotta evolve, man.
Sorry. Go ahead.
so I'm just sitting there in agonizing pain. I think they gave me some painkillers. I mean, not like real painkillers, but like ibuprofen and stuff, which helped a tiny bit. And the fact that like I actually had someone to say, oh man, this is terrible. I've been like this for like the last like 10 hours. Kind of made me feel a little better. And the youth group leader came in, and like at this point I wasn't like I'm gonna go to the hospital, but I was more like I need to go home. This is not good. And youth group leader comes in and he's like, so I heard you're sick. What's wrong exactly? And so I kind of explained the situation, and he's like, well, you should think about staying. Don't go. I'm like, no, like this is really bad. It's like, no, you got to stay, Nate. I mean, this no,
It won't be the same without you.
No, Nate, you're gonna stay. It's like the doors lock.
Percocet.
He started telling me like, wait to get better though. Then you'll regret leaving. I'm like, oh, yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna get better. This is terrible. And he's like, well, he spent like maybe like 20 minutes trying to convince me to stay, and is actually pretty surprising because my mom and my grandmother, they actually came to pick me up like, we're like an hour 40 minutes away or something, but they were there like almost no time, and they got me, and they're very like understanding. Oh my god, we heard you're sick, this is terrible, blah blah blah. But I thought they'd be more like, are you really sick or you just don't like this? But they're like very understanding.
Like, we know the hot girls there. It's okay. We understand.
We trust you, Nate. We trust
We've
you.
had the spaghetti.
We're not gonna call you a liar this time, Nate.
So I get back to my house, and I remember I needed help to get into the house because it was this, like, getting up those stairs, man, was tough. And they had I think on the right there, they had like something to throw up into. I didn't need to use it. Like, I had thrown up everything I could possibly ever throw up. And, I'm just pretty much laying on the couch and just writhing in pain, and it's terrible. I was feeling better than I was before, to be honest, but it was still really bad. Like, it's almost like if the pain's like a 10, if it's a 9.5, you're like, oh my god, this is great. Eventually, like, my dad has a good sense of this kind of stuff, because, my mom asked me, do you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, no, I'll be alright. No, I'll just tough it out. But my dad's like, no, he's going to the hospital. So they brought me to the hospital, and it was a terrible experience. There was like maybe...
Did you have the same doctor I had? Yeah, that guy's also the bassist in Fun Hole. He's a terrible doctor.
It was like there's a waiting line, right? And I waited like maybe an hour just to kind of get checked in and kind of like, to take your measurements and stuff. Then there's another 2 hours of waiting there.
Take your measurements. Fit you with a nice suit.
Blood pressure, heart rate, weight.
Okay. Like your vitals.
Your vitals and stuff. And then
Sir, spread it.
It was another 2 hours after that, and I'm still waiting there. And eventually they got me a wheelchair because they kind of realized like walking wasn't really working for me very well. It's one of those pains where like you want to stay up straight, but your stomach just crunches you over, and it's terrible. And so eventually they're like, okay, well, we got your room. I'm like, fucking thank God. And so, start winging me to it. And then halfway there, they're like, oh, ambulance took the room.
Jesus.
So it was another like hour and a half of waiting.
The ambulance is sick. He's gonna have the bed. Sorry.
The ambulance. All of it. It's sick.
Gonna have to pump his tire back up. All right.
So they eventually to get me a room, and one of the nurses like, okay, we got you the best room in the place because this sucks for you, we know. And so get in there, and doctor comes and see me, and he's like, oh, what's the problem? It's like stomach hurts, terrible, pins and needles. It's like, well, no clue what that could be, but it could be a few things. And he started asking questions and stuff, and he's like, okay, well, we know you're in a lot of pain, so let's get you some painkillers. So he hooked me up with some morphine. And the morphine, like, people say they get, like, high on morphine. I just didn't feel pain. That's the only thing I got from it. The doctor comes back and is like, okay, well, we're not really sure what it is, but it's probably appendicitis. But we don't know that until we, look inside there. So we're going to cut you up. Does that sound good? I'm like, yeah, if this stops, yes, whatever, fuck it. And so they roam me up to various places. Family's talking to me, and I'm just kind of like just annoyed and bored and done. And they explained to me the whole process. They're like, okay, we're gonna give you anesthesia. We're gonna like put this thing over your face. You're gonna count backwards from 10, and then you'll get surgery done and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's the weirdest thing. I'm not sure if you guys had surgery, but they put the thing on my face, and I start counting back. And then it's like I close my eyes, and then I wake up in another room. It's not even like I fell asleep or anything. It's almost like you close your eyes, and then you're in another room. Like no time has passed. It's really freaky. And then the nurse is like, oh, you're awake. And then like, oh, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, you're out for a little bit, but you're actually up kind of early. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And you look down, and you're still wide open.
Pretty much. Actually, the first thing I did check was, I don't know why, but I heard something somewhere, and so once the nurse kind of left, I like checked my pubes because I thought they might have shaved my pubes.
Gotta check those pubes.
Hey, I'm never gonna get a girlfriend without those pubes.
You're like, oh my god, my pubes. Thank God.
Give them
thank
back.
God. Thank God.
Is there a surgery to get those put back?
You put those pubes back.
Right where you found them.
I was really concerned if they shaved my pubes because I heard something somewhere like they shave you before they do surgery, and like I don't know if I wanted my pubes or if I just didn't want to touch my pubes. I don't know what it was for that exactly, but
the doctor's like, nurse, remove the pubes. We are not going into this man's stomach unless you remove those pubes. I'm not even gonna do this if those pubes are there staring at me.
So, I'm like, okay, well, I feel a lot better. And, the lady's like, oh, yeah, we got you on some morphine. So, let us know if you want some more morphine. And I'm like, okay. And
I get a to-go bag.
They put me in another room, and it was a little difficult. And then they tell me I had appendicitis, and that my appendix was kind of...
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
My appendix was not like... It was a little different of a case because usually it's one thing, but mine was just twisted up in something. They don't really know what happened, but my appendix was the problem. So I had appendicitis, and it was very possible that I would die if I had stayed at the camp, especially. But if I had waited maybe another day or so.
Your pastor tried to kill you.
Essentially.
That's what pastors usually do.
He's like, I'm gonna get you closer to God.
Now
real quick.
This is all right. This means God just wants to know you. This means God wants to meet you. He wants to hang out.
He needs you in his heavenly army.
He's like, yo, we just need Nate up here.
First thing they do when you get to heaven, take your pubes.
Now let me see those pubes. Come on. You're not getting in here without those pubes.
Now,
Hey, everyone had to do it.
Walk through the pube detector.
So after that... I mean,
it costs a lot of money, that pube detector.
That's pretty much the story, but the weirdest thing I found is after they put me in another room and they hooked me up to another thing with morphine, and it started telling me oh yeah, if you're feeling pain, just press the morphine button and we'll give you some morphine, and
you immediately max it out.
I didn't touch it at all. I didn't I'm like, oh, I feel all right, and nurses came to me constantly. I had maybe about 25 different occasions where nurses would say, are you sure you don't need more morphine? oh, like, you should be taking more morphine. Oh, just press the button if you want more morphine. Like, they were like, trying to get me hooked or something. It was very strange.
No, they wanted to jack up your hospital bill. And we're going to put you in the nicest room. All you can eat morphine. We're going to take your pubes.
This is like a morphine buffet. They're like, all you can morphine buffet.
But yeah, and then nobody was there to visit me until like 12 p.m. that day, and the pastor came in. I guess he skipped the service or something. I don't know.
Like 100 little kids sitting there, like, waiting in their pews.
Yeah, he didn't tell anyone he was doing that to. Everyone's just sitting there like, what's going on?
Pastor will be here shortly.
He got caught up in the pube detector. That thing, it's very thorough. It takes a long time. He's going to be here any minute.
It's all right. We're getting Gabriel down there to fix it.
They're on number 532.
And yeah,
Wait, are they detecting each pube one at a time?
One at a time. They're counting them, man.
He's got 582 pubes, and like he's
That's
just
not
getting
even
started.
a lot, dude. That's not even a lot. Jesus. Most people have at least like 50,000 pubes.
So
most people.
So a little bonus side story off of that. Doesn't really matter, but so I got lots of OxyContin off from that because painkiller. Obviously, I needed it. And a side effect from OxyContin I found, at least with myself, is it made me very good at Counter-Strike Source.
Yo.
Super good at Counter-Strike Source. So good that I got banned from my favorite server because they thought I was hacking.
I remember that.
And I was very, very annoyed. I don't know, it just relaxed me to a point where I could just focus in this. It wasn't quite slow motion, but it was like, yeah, I get it now. I just move the mouse, head, shoot.
For years, he couldn't get this, and he's like, wait. It's on
get
the
it now.
drugs. He's like, I can't play the game without the drugs.
My head's never been more clear without pubes.
He's like going into the Matrix every time he takes an oxy.
So we shouldn't let this podcast die, though, right? So how can people support this podcast?
The best way to support the podcast would be financially through Patreon.
Oh, we almost said it at the same time.
Oh,
Kismet.
is that like a Jewish thing?
I don't know, man. It's like a teenage girl thing.
Oh, okay.
Similar things.
If you're a teenage girl, you can get at us at.
You can get us.
You can get at us.
If you're a teenage girl.
We accept all fan bases.
Absolutely, and I think the most important thing is to give us some rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. If you want to give us money, that's pretty cool too. And you can check us out on Facebook at We Need to Talk Show, or you could find us on Twitter at WNTT1.
And also check out our guests at
MattDrew.com.
Yeah, no, you can try to friend me on Facebook. I may not accept it, but I may.
He's got a very close-knit group on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. A very close-knit group. If you get in, then you get to enjoy every now and then I share something.
If you like our podcast, try giving Shot of History a listen.
Shot of History is actually an outstanding podcast. They drink. They talk about crazy things from history that you don't know. And if you do know, it's because you listen to Shot of History. You can brag about it to your friends. I would definitely highly suggest them.
And if you give them a listen, tell them that you heard about them from us.
Let them know personally that you heard about it. Message them on Facebook. Direct message them. Slip into their DMs with a good WNTT.
You can just message them on Twitter. It's probably easier.
Just send a message to Trico, not Trico. He's on, his name's actually Trico, but he's the host of Shot of History, and his Twitter handle is Trico, not Trico. And just say Albatross. He'll know. Till next time.
We need to talk.